I think it's fair to say that memories are a big part of our lives in general. But when it comes to RPGs, they're perhaps even more important and perform some potentially quite unusual functions. Hello, I'm Colin Green and you are listening to Spike Pit.
Hey Colin, Daniel from Bandits Keep calling in, listening to your episode 378 about system and longevity, I guess. I agree with you. I think that it comes down to the creativeness, if you will, of the GM and also the players, right? If the players are doing stuff, that will give the GM something to work with and keep the campaign going. If everybody just shows up and does what the GM says and follows along in this like preset story, I think you're not going to be able to have a kind of a ongoing campaign. You'll have a campaign that is the story that the GM wrote or the module wrote. And I think system has very little to do with it. The only exception, I think, would be if you have players that like to try lots of different things, then they'll be more interested in systems that have more bells and whistles. Otherwise, it comes down to the interaction at the table. So I 100% agree.
I don't know if you remember that episode, folks, but I was talking about longevity in games. Daniel called in and I just got diverted, went off down another avenue, never got to play his message, unfortunately. So if you're listening, Daniel, sorry for the delay, mate. I included it in a number of call-in episodes with a load of other call-ins, but I think I've said I didn't feel I did them justice, so I've been looking to get them out during RPG a Day month. And imagination, creativity, I think memory is a massive part of those things. Who doesn't love a game that has some legs and characters start dreaming up memories for their players start dreaming up memories for their characters that unfold throughout the game. You don't need to have a massive background to begin with, but as you encounter things come to mind. And I'm not a one for the orphan type of character. I quite like to invent my family as sessions go along. Perhaps we meet someone and I think, I'll ask the DM, would it be appropriate? Could this be someone from my past? And we'll invent some memories for the character. So, yeah, memories, massive. And you need a decent memory to be able to visualise some of the scenes and the things you want to portray in games. Thanks for the call in, Daniel.
Hello, Colin. Jason here. In a recent call from Barney, the Local News podcast, he mentioned that hit points, it seemed awfully gamey to be able to eat or drink something and regain hit points, or just because of a night's sleep. I think a night's sleep kind of makes sense. The eating thing, no doubt, comes from video games. I don't know if there's a historical or a cinematic or literature precedence to just eating and feeling better. Maybe there is. I do think there's a strong precedence in literature and film for someone to drink something and be revitalized and move forward from that point. Whether that's drinking alcohol, or whether it's drinking, fresh water or something, that I think there's a strong precedence for that. Although that brings us another question. The other trope we get with alcohol and drinking and loss of abilities is the idea that drinking alcohol will help reduce sanity loss. In a lot of games where your character might go insane or might be unhinged, drinking alcohol brings them out of it. Really? I don't know. I'm not saying I don't want to see that kind of mechanic in a game, because I think it can be fun, but I don't know that it really works that way. I really don't know if you saw something horrible that alcohol is going to really help you get past it. I have a feeling it's, if anything, you're going to make things worse. You might, get past it during the limited time that you're intoxicated, but long term, I can't see it actually doing a whole lot good. Yeah, and I speak this as somebody that, drinks on quite a regular basis and has quite an appreciation for alcohol. So there are a couple ideas. Do with them what you will. And I look forward to your next podcast. Take care, my friend.
Yeah, as far as hit points go, for me, it is a big abstraction, and I'm not really too fussed about the realism of eating and drinking and sleeping to recover. But I think it's interesting you mentioned literature and alcohol, because I've got a couple of things to say. The literature I'm wondering that may have influenced this initially could be Tolkien. There's a lot of mention of food and recovering from eating and drinking and resting in those books. You have the lammas bread, forget how it's pronounced, the elven bread that is, well, it's basically magical, and it's got really significant restorative effects, if my memory serves me correctly. But talking of memory, doesn't alcohol mess up your memory and play with your memory? Because I had a friend, after 3 or 4 pints, he was terrible. He would just totally forget what had happened. So I'm wondering, Jason, perhaps where you're talking about trauma and things like that, perhaps if the alcohol is giving you that loss of memory, perhaps that's how it's working with the sanity. But I don't know. I'm just throwing that in there as a perhaps a suggestion. The other thing, of course, is isn't alcohol supposed to have a detrimental effect on your brain cells? And surely we need as many of those as we can to keep our memories in good shape. I don't know. I'm no doctor, but I like that literary angle. So thanks for the call in, Jason. Now, all I've got to do is remember what I was doing before I decided to record this episode. What was it? And that, as they say, is a wrap. Big thanks goes out to you, the listener, for taking a bit of time out of your day to listen to old Spike Pit. Take care, and I'll catch you later.